Hey, I am back. So I just went to see the Bone Temple, so I'm gonna go and explain that. Full disclosure, Killian Murphy does appear in this film, but only in the last 5 minutes. So yes, he does come back to the series, but only in the last 5 minutes. Anyway, let me explain the entire plot in as a little time as possible. So the film begins inside the a recreation a center where the Jimmies are about to do a test on Spike. So to join a Jimmy's gang, Spike has to kill one of the Jimmies and take his place. And a Jimmy Crystal, he calls his followers his fingers, and and he believes that he is the son of a Satan, and he needs a seven a good a fingers to kill everybody and ascend them to meet his father. And to do this, he tortures them to death. And he doesn't call a torture. He calls it a charity. So like Spike is down in the dry pool with the Jimmies, and one of the Jimmies he steps forward, and instead of just killing Spike, he plays with them. And so he knocks Spike down. Spike pulls down his pants, and then he stabs the a Jimmy in the leg. And the Jimmy, he stupidly pulls out the knife, and since Spike hit a major artery, he just bleeds out on the floor of the pool. And it takes about a 90 seconds, but the entire time the Jimmies are like laughing and joking because like they have this a childish thing going on. So anyway, the Jimmy who got stabbed, he's like, wait a minute, this is too much blood, and he turns to a Crystal, and says, help me. And Jimmy is like, I don't really care, hurry up and die. So that Jimmy dies, and a Jimmy a Crystal goes up to Spike and says, what's your name? Is this Spike? And he's like, no, your name's now Jimmy. Let's go. And so the Jimmy's walk off while one of the Jimmy's throw Spike the wig from the dead Jimmy. So he puts that on. And before I go any further, there's two main plot lines in this film. There's Spike and the Jimmys, and then there's a Dr. Kelson and Samson. So while Spike joins the Jimmys, a Kelson is like he went back to the train to bury the dead a pregnant woman. That's what he was doing in the trailer. He was he was dragging her body out to like burn it and stuff. So while he's doing that, he's singing to himself. And Samson, he and his pack are hunting a guy, and we see from a Samson's POV for a moment, and he doesn't see the guy as a person. He sees them as like an angry infected, and then he gouges the guy's eyes out and just pulls off his head as usual. And once he's dead, the other infected eat the guy's body while a Samson chews on his brains. And I'm like, that's the bad part of me. Like if you're gonna eat a human, eat every part but the brain. But whatever. He's chewed on the guy's brains, and that's when he hears a Kelson humming to himself. So he runs over. A Kelson spikes him with the blow dart gun, and then we see another day where a Samson runs up again, but this time he like pauses, like he runs up, runs up some more, roars. So basically, a Samson recognizes a Kelson on some level, and so a Kelson spikes him again with the blow dart gun, and he's like, fascinating, you seem to recognize me. So while a Samson is is sedated, he pulls out Spike's arrows for him, and he's like, this reminds me of Damocles. I I hope you don't kill me before this. I think you owe me a favor. Haha. So anyway, that basically a Samson keeps going back for this guy's a morphine, and one day Kelson and Samson are like sitting side by side, and Kelson, he takes his own dart gun and then he just goes to sleep. And I'm like, are you committing a suicide? Because who the hell falls asleep next to an alpha in this society? So he falls asleep, and when he wakes up, he is still alive, but Samson is nowhere to be found. So basically, Samson sobered up from the morphine, but instead of killing Kelson, he recognized him as the man with the morphine. And like Kelson's like, oh my god, I think I made a friend. And I'm just like, are you sure? Maybe he's just a drug addict now, and like once you run out of a morphine, he'll get angry. Like who knows? Anyway, while this is going on, we cut to three people in the woods: a young man, a young pregnant woman, and some old guy named Jono. I don't know, the accents are throwing me off. But anyway, they are picking mushrooms quietly when Jono sees an infected, and the infected has like a broken foot. And when I say broken, I mean it's hanging on by a few bits of muscle and tendon. It's just dangling there as he limps around. And I'm like, my god, like you don't feel that? Like the bones are sticking out and everything, dirt, and it was gross. Anyway, Jono, he's like, I'm gonna go up there and kill it. And the pregnant woman was like, don't do that. It doesn't see us. Let's just walk away. And he's like, nah, I'm gonna kill it. So he goes up, it sees him, it's like, Wah! And then he stabs it, and that brings 3 or 4 more. And the pregnant woman is like, screw this, you done effed up. So she takes the young man, and they both just start running. And John was like, wait for me. And then he gets cornered by like four infected. They just come out of nowhere. Like they come down the hill from up the hill. He kills 3 more, but then one spits blood in his face, and that's when he turns himself. And the pregnant woman and her friend, they run up to a rusty gate. They unlock it, open it, run inside, and re-lock it. And I'm like, oh, so that's how you keep out the infected on your part of the island. So anyway, they have like a farmstead with like 3 other people, and they get up to the door, and the guy's like, what are we going to tell so-and-so? And she's like, we tell him the truth. Jono, like he played a dumb game and won a dumb prize. We told him to just go and he would have been fine. Anyway, they get to the front porch, and the old man opens the door, and she's like, hey, old man, we have some bad news. And he's like, we have news, we have guests. And he looks scared shitless. And that's when one of the Jimmys come up behind the 2 and just pushes them inside the house. And this is the scene in the trailer where the Jimmys are at the table eating and stuff, while the people are just scared, still just standing around. And Jimmy Crystal, he is telling a story of, about an episode of Teletubbies, and they've all heard the story before, but they're laughing along and like, haha, yeah, that's a great story with Popo and Lala and all the Tubbies. So like, he sounds demented, like a grown ass man in a tiara, recapping an episode of Teletubbies. So the pregnant woman, she immediately clocks that these people all in blonde wigs are dangerous as hell, but are they stupid dangerous or cunning dangerous? You know, because with one of those, all you gotta do is just outsmart them and kill them. But with the other one, you don't know what they're capable of. So she's like, will you be going? And Jimmy, of course, goes, of course, but after we kill you. And that's when one of the men, who I think was her baby daddy, I don't know, there's 5 of them. There's the pregnant one, the young man, the older man, who's like, I don't know, mid-20s, late 20s, and there's the really old man and another woman, plus the one who got turned in the beginning, so now there's 5. Anyway, one of the men at the stove, he grabs a pot of boiling water and he throws it at the Jimmys, and somehow he freaking misses. I'm like, how the heck you miss his head? So he throws it, and the water just splashes on the table, hurts nobody. But the a pregnant woman, she takes the moment to like spread out the house and hide, but she doesn't go far. She hides in the a loft of the barn, and that barn is where Jimmy takes the four hostages. And wait, no, I think it's three because the guy who threw the water, they killed him real quick. Anyway, there's three or four of them hanging up, and Jamie's like, "Hi, I'm Jamie Crystal. These are my fingers, and we are going to give you some charity. So for charity, we are going to remove your shirts." And by remove their shirts, I mean he flays the skin from their bodies in the pattern of a t-shirt. So like chest, and it's just peeled off. Now, fortunately, we don't see the whole process because Spike runs outside to. There's a car. Anyway, Spike runs outside to throw up, and that's when Jimmy Inc. goes outside to join him. And for the sake of clarity, I'm going to be calling Aaron Kellyman's a character just Inc. for the whole time. So anyway, Ink goes outside, and Spike is like, and like Spike is like, I can't do this. I'm sorry, it's too awful. And Ink is like, look, you've been with us for a few days now. You know the routine. We find folks, we torture them, and then we kill them. So just get with the program so you can live. And of course Spike is like, I can't do it. I'm sorry. So Ink goes, okay, I'll stay out here. I'll stay out here with you. So we go back inside the barn, and one of the Jimmys is in the process of skinning the woman, and oh my gosh, it looks so gross. Like it's like of course she's topless, but there's no skin on her breast. It's just blood, and she's like everybody is still conscious, but unfortunately they're screaming. It's just like a low moans because they're dying from blood loss and shock. So anyway, one of the guys, he is unscathed, and a Crystal walks up to him and goes, "Oi, do you want to be one of my fingers? And if you say yes, you have to fight one of my Jimmys, and if you win, you become a Jimmy, and if you lose, we'll give you more charity." Now, this guy just saw his friends get flayed alive, and he was totally next, but he's like, okay, if I fight you, I might be able to find a way to escape somehow. So he's like, yeah, I'll fight one of your Jimmys, and he points at Jemima, who is the a female Jimmy. Turns out there's three female Jimmys because Jimmy can't count. Like when he said a finger, I was like, oh, there's five of them. No, there's seven fingers because on the head of the beast there's seven horns on each head, a crown. Anyway, because a Crystal has skewed the a Bible verse, like it's seven fingers for seven horns on the beast of Revelation. Like it's a Bible thing. Anyway, he has seven fingers, not five, plus himself. I can't fucking count. This is seven. This is eight. So there's Jimmy Crystal, Jimmy Inc., the Jimmy Spike replaces Jemima, one of the females, and some other guy, and some other guy, and some other guy. They're not important. Really, they aren't important. So anyway, the guy who's about to be tortured, he agrees to fight one of the Jimmys, and he chooses Jemima, and she's like a manic pixie, a dream girl who's a bit ditzy, but she's crazy. She's worse than Harley Quinn. She is basically a Jimmy's Harley Quinn, except she is worse because she's not pretending at it. She is really down with just flay folks. So anyway, they untie the guy, they give him a knife, and Jemima takes him down hard. She cuts his arm, she stabs him 3 or 4 times, and then she gets him down on the ground. and she's doing the villain thing of like a talking instead of just stabbing him. So while she's doing that, the pregnant woman who's been in the loft the whole time, just watching her friends get flayed, she's like, "Wait a minute, I gotta do something." So there's this big a metal hook, and she throws it down into the back of Jemima's head. And at first, we don't see it. All we see is Jemima. My faces are so dumb. I stuttered. I'm sorry. Anyway, we don't see it, but we do see Jemima, like, she twitches, and then she starts to babble, and her eyes turn red from the blood bleeding into her, and then she just falls over, and Jim was like, "What the heck was that? Hey, it's that pregnant woman, cure her." And so, like, while they're all distracted by her, the guy on the ground, he crawls over to a metal gas canister, turns it on, turns it towards a torch in the wall, and makes a flamethrower. And he sets one of the Jimmies ablaze, and then the whole barn's ablaze because one of the Jimmies shoot him in the heart, and so he dies. The canister rolls everywhere. Everything's on fire, and meanwhile, Ink and Spike are just outside, just snacking and chilling, and Ink says, that screaming doesn't sound right. Like, it doesn't sound like they're being tortured. It sounds a little different from the other screams, you know? And, like, Spike is like, I don't know, all screaming is bad. But then the Jimmy who's on fire, he comes out dancing in flames, and he just dies. And then another Jimmy is dragged out dead, I think. Like, it was kind of a blurry moment. But the pregnant woman, she starts running away. And Jimmy Crystal goes, "Spike, after her!" And so Spike goes after her. He pulls his bow and arrow, but then he drops it and says, "I don't want to go with them. Take me with you." And she's like, "Oh, poor baby." And she gets close, pretends to peck his shoulder, and then she punches him in the dick. And then she runs away, and we never see her again. Like, we don't know what happened to her. Like, did she die, get infected? Or did she find some more folks? We don't know. But yeah, Spike goes back to Jimmy. He's like, "Hey, that pregnant woman, she got away, but I killed her." And Jimmy, Crystal's like, "Really? You killed her? Really? So can I see the body?" And then Spike goes, "Yeah, it's just dark out there. It's really hard to find it." And Crystal's like, "Look, I know your ass is lying. I know you are because you're a bitch. You're a kid. You're a coward. I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. It's gonna be slow and painful." But that's when Ink speaks up, and she says, "Wait, let's take the boy to Satan." And, like, freaking spam. A Crystal's like, but Satan. I mean, but Satan isn't on Earth. Like, he speaks through me. And then Ink goes, "No, I've seen Satan. He has a palace of bones and he's covered in red. And I saw him dancing with one of the own demons. You know, it was crazy." By the way, I skipped this scene, but while a Samson is high on the blow dart, a Kilson talks to him. Like, they sit down and they just talk about everything and nothing and just watch the sun rise and blah blah blah. Anyway, a Kilson likes to dance and sing, so whenever he and Samson are like high together, he'll like start to dance, and then he'll take a Samson's hands, and then, like, they'll start dancing around too. And it would be funny if the fact that if a Samson snaps out of it, Kilson's gone. So anyway, Jimmy Ink is spying on Kilson, and she sees him dancing with the infected Samson, and she's like, "This guy must be Satan." By the way, Jimmy Ink is a very interesting character. Like, she believes in a Crystal's a religion, but at the same time, she has one foot out the door. Like, she only believes in it because there's nothing else to believe in, you know? Like, assuming she's around the same age as Jimmy, or maybe she's, I don't know, like, if Jimmy was 8 when everything came down, then she might have been, I don't know, like we already know that to become a Jimmy, you must kill a previous Jimmy. So maybe because she looks around like in her late teens, early 20s, so she wasn't so she wasn't around before the infection. So maybe she and her family had the wrong fort or something, and the Jimmy was attacked. And to keep herself alive, she fought and killed one of the Jimmies. And because she was so young, she just she started to believe in Jimmy stuff fully to get over the a moral conflict of torturing and killing folks. So she kind of believes, but not wholly. Like she compartmentalizes, I guess. Anyway, when she sees that Spike is about to die, Jimmy Eat goes, "Hey, I know where a Satan is. Let's go to his house." So they go to the Bone Temple, and they're spying on a Kelson from across the river. And the others are like, "Wow, that's Satan. Let's go down and meet him." And Jimmy Crystal is like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, hold on. As the son of Satan, I'm gonna go down there myself and talk to him because Satan isn't a cool guy. He might be in a bad mood. I better go and talk to him." So Jimmy goes down there and he sees a Kelson and he's like, "Are you old Nick?" And Kelson's like, "You mean Satan?" He's like, "Yes." And he's like, "No, I'm Dr. Ian Kelson." And then Jimmy goes, "Do you know of Satan?" And Kelson goes, "I don't believe in him, no." And so Jimmy goes, "You're an atheist." And Kelson goes, "You're a Satanist." And Jimmy goes, "Oh, okay, so you're an atheist doctor and I'm a Satanist. So I see your bone temple. Is that made from the demons?" And Kelson goes, "Demons? You mean the infected?" Because I believe it's a virus that made them that way, not a divine punishment. And so Jimmy goes, "Okay, so you're a doctor who knows it's a virus. Okay, all right, I'm gonna drop my bullshit. My name's Jimmy Crystal. I'm a cult leader, and I told my followers that I'm the son of Satan, and it's our job to go around torturing and killing people. And they already saw you, and they think you're Satan. So I'm in a bit of a bind." It's that scene from the trailer. So they sit down and talk, and Jamie's like, "Listen, my followers think you're Satan, and I can see you're a sane man. However, I need you to pretend to be a Satan so my followers can know that I'm not bullshitting them, which I am." And Kelson goes, "So you want me to play the role of Satan to convince your followers to keep following you? And if I don't," and Jamie goes, "then I'll disembowel and kill you." And Kelson goes, "Huh, okay, sure, I'll play the part." And Jamie goes, "Great, I'll be back tomorrow night, so get your place together." So while that's going on, Dr. Kelson is sitting down with Samson, and he's explaining to Samson that because of the amount of morphine he's going through, Kelson is going to be out in 2 weeks, and clearly a Samson wants the peace that the morphine brings him. Because when you're infected, your mind is just full of rage and noise, and when he's hit with the morphine, it calms down. So Kelson's like, "Look, I'm gonna run out of your medicine, so I can either euthanize you now or you can run out later." And in this part of the trailer, a Kelson pulls out that big needle. That's a vial of kill me fluid. So anyway, he brings the needle to Samson and goes, "Look, I need your consent here. Nod your head or shake your head, but I'm finna euthanize you for your own good." So while he's doing this, a Samson is just drugged out, just staring at the moon. And just as a Kelson pierces his shoulder with the needle, Samson says one word: "Moon." And Kelson goes, "What?" And Samson goes, "A moon." I'm like, "The moon? Why are you saying moon for?" But he says a coherent word, and he means the moon in the sky. He's talking. And so Kelson pulls back the needle and goes, "Holy crap, because you've been doing these peace trips, your mind has become calm enough to recall words for stuff. Like, holy crap, there might be a cure here. So, like, the very next day, he meets Jimmy and has his little talk with him. And then that night, he comes to Samson and goes, I've never been scared before, but today I felt a chill, a fear over my life. The scene from the trailer. So he sits down with Samson and says, I was gonna inject you with this across like a number of days, but now that Jimmy's here, I gotta push up the schedule. So he starts explaining how yes, the virus has a physical component. It also has a mental component. Like all the infected are under a psychosis where they see things that aren't there. You know, like like it's already been established that when a Samson looks at healthy people, he sees angry, violent people, which is why he attacks on impulse. So Dr. Kelson believes that if he could just fix the mental part of the virus, then the rest will follow, you know, because now the infected won't kill on sight. Anyway, he gives a Samson some pills, and Samson starts hearing stuff, and he hears the sound of a train, and so Samson wanders over to the train from the last movie, and he sits down in a seat, and he he remembers like there's a flashback of him on the train as a kid with his mom and dad, and they're going somewhere. We don't know where, but they're going somewhere. And the train attendant, she is punching everyone's tickets, and behind her in the background is a twitching infected. So we already know what happened. So the attendant gets to child a Samson and says, "Can I take your ticket, love?" And he's like, "What?" And she's like, "Can I take your ticket?" And then we see like a frame, like a very brief blink and you miss it frame of adult Samson, but not him as an infected. We see adult Samson in a timeline where the virus never happens. So basically, it's a Chi, a Lewis, a Perry, but without the makeup on. So we see that for a brief moment, and then it cuts to present Samson, and he says a full sentence. He says, "I don't have my ticket," and I'm like, "Oh, he knows sentences, he knows words." But yeah, like he wakes up from his flashback, and instead of being surrounded by healthy people, he's surrounded by infected. Yeah, like apparently they all sensed that he wasn't infected anymore, so they attack him, and so he does this big fight scene where he's throwing them out of windows, he's breaking necks, biting off arms, he's just going ham on them. There's like 10 of them, and he's just like throwing them off, just crushing them like bugs. And I'm like, wait a minute, so whatever pills that Kelson gave you, they cured you, but not quite, because during the fight scene, a Samson gets bit by an infected, but he doesn't start to spit blood or anything. I'm like, okay, so instead of being asymptomatic like the woman in 28 weeks later, you have an immunity or something, because while he still has the strength of the infected, he doesn't have the rage. And I'm like, okay, so you're a super soldier now. And like in the theater, I'm thinking to myself, how the heck did Kelson do this? Like I felt like the villain in the first Iron Man movie, because Kelson did this in a bone temple with a box of prescription drugs, in a cave with a box of scraps. That was me, but it was like in a bunker with a box of over the counter medicine. How the hell did you do that? But this guy is cured. He's cured. He's cured. So anyway, a night falls and Kelson puts out a bunch of candles, and the Jimmies come to the Bone Temple, and Kelson has a vinyl player, and he pulls out an Iron Maiden record. So like when the Jimmies come in, the Iron Maiden song is like blaring like all around the temple, and it's like some song, the number 666. I don't know Iron Maiden, but anyway, like Kelson comes out, he's like covered in white paint, black circles around it, like corpse paint. He has some corpse paint, and he's a lip syncing to the music, and the Jimmies are already primed to see him as Satan. So Kelson is like putting on this show for them. He's like, I'm singing along to the song, and he's like dancing around, and like he does a little. You gotta see it. He's basically doing a drag show, but no drags. Anyway, he has this bowl of like powder drugs, and he blows it in each of the Jimmy's faces. Now, the Jimmys don't have their mask on, but Spike, he keeps his mask on. So Kelson doesn't know it's Spike with him. So the Jimmys are all high, and they're just tripping balls while Kelson is just dancing and climbing and singing to the song. And then he puts on his fire suit, and then he breaks out this pole with the fire on it, and he starts dancing around like flinging around cinders and stuff, and he lights the circle of gasoline that makes the big circle. So basically, a heavy metal concert during the apocalypse with just 5 people all high, just like they're like, yeah, Satan, woo, and Jimmy's just dancing around like this is great. Too bad someone's gonna die by the end because it's that kind of movie. So anyway, Kelson finishes his Satan show, and he's like, all right, you fingers, you kneel to me. And so the fingers all kneel, and then a Jimmy comes forward. He's like, you, my son Jimmy, you stand. And Jimmy's like, aha, like it's all going to plan. My followers think this guy is Satan, and now they're going to follow me even harder. So he's like, oh, my father Satan, do you approve of our work? And Kelson's like, yeah, sure. And then Jimmy goes, so you approve of all the torture and killing and stuff you've been doing? And Kelson's like, yeah. And then Jimmy goes, cool. So you give us permission to go forth and do more torturing and killing. And not only will I have 7 fingers, but you approve of me going out and building an army of Jimmy. So instead of having these 7 followers, Jimmy a Crystal wants to make an army of people to go forth to torture and kill. And Kelton's like, okay, if I say yes, Jimmy will leave me alone. However, he'll kill everybody else in his wake or turn them to his cult. So like do I say yeah and like doom everyone else, or do I say no and just do me? But then he notices that one of the Jimmys is the same height as Spike. He's like, wait a minute, that Jimmy's kind of short. Is he a kid? Hold on, why his mask on? So he pulls off the mask, and he's like, holy crap, that's Spike from the last movie. And then he goes, Spike, and Spike goes, I can't say nothing right now, or this guy's gonna kill me. Help! I'm trapped in this cult. Help! And so Kelson goes up to Jimmy and says, "Hey, do you know how God crucified his own son and he ascended?" And Jimmy goes, "Yeah. Well, as your father, I think you should sacrifice yourself to me so you can ascend." And there's this big upside down cross, and so he turns to the other Jimmys and goes, "Hey, can you a fire boss here for me?" And Jimmy's like, hold on now. This is not a part of the script here." And then he goes, "All right, guys, this guy is not Satan, okay? He ain't Satan." And to prove it, Shank, he stabs a Kelson, and then a Jimmy Inc. She's like, "Wait a minute, this guy's not Satan, and you really are just full of shit." So she starts fighting with Jimmy. She knocks him out, and the other 2 Jimmys, they fight her too, but she manages to kill them. And then Jimmy Inc. walks up to Kelson, and she's like, "Wait a minute, you know this Spike kid?" He's like, "Yeah, we're friends." Anyway, Spike's like, "Hey, Dr. Kelson, I'm so sorry. And Kelson goes, listen, Spike, I saw how you were suffering with that group. I couldn't let them take you and go on and do their thing. And then Jimmy Ian goes, listen, I'm sorry we killed you and ruined your whole little thing, but you told me, well, you told us to crucify Jimmy, and I can still do that. So she crucifies Jimmy like on the upside down cross, and I'm like, how did she do that by herself? This is like a grown man, like 150 pounds. But anyway, she nails him up, and while he's up there, Samson comes along, and he is drenched in blood, completely naked. He won his fight with the other infected, by the way. And because Jimmy is still kind of tripping from the white powder Kelson blew on him, he sees a Samson as like a red horned devil. So like a Samson kneels in front of a Kelson, and he's like, Kelson, and Kelson's like, oh, Samson, you can talk, and Samson goes, yes, Kelson, thank you for helping me. And then Kelson dies, and Samson picks up his body and leaves. And the last thing a Crystal sees before he dies is an infected killing him. And then we flash forward to some random place in Scotland, and there's this a little black girl who is taking a history lesson from the front window of her house, and then we see her dad, and her dad is the one giving her the lesson. Her dad is the one giving her the lesson, and he's Cillian Murphy. He's Jim. So I guess he and Selena made it back to Scotland after being rescued somehow, and they found the house and they had a kid. But we don't see Naomi Harris anywhere. So I'm like, did she die in childbirth? Or did she get infected or something? But anyway, Jim Jim is giving his daughter a history lesson, and that's when they hear the sound of screaming infected. So Jim grabs a rifle, his daughter grabs a machete and a telescope. They run up to a hill, and through the scope, they see Jimmy, Ink, and Spike running away from the infected. And this is when the theme from the original film starts to play. And Jim's daughter goes, "Do we save them, Dad?" And he's like, And she's like, "Dad, do we save them?" And he's like, "Yeah, right. Let's go." And so they run down the hill to go help them. And then the film ends there. Like 4 minutes of Cillian Murphy, and then he's gone. So if you came for him, you'll get him, but not very much. Oh my god. But yeah, apparently there's 8 Jimmys, and I'm really bad at counting them because I swear they kept changing, and then they all look the same. Like I could only tell 3 of them apart. There's Jack O'Connell, Jimmy Ink, who covers herself in tattoos, which is why she's called Ink, and then there's Spike in a wig. So those 3 I can tell apart, and then there's the girl who gets a spike through her head, the guy who gets set on fire, and the other 2 who are a couple, I think. So yeah. Okay, that's 7 fingers. Maybe it's not 8. It's hard to tell. There's 6 or 7, and they keep moving around. Okay. Point is, at the beginning, Jimmy Crystal has like 6 or 7 followers, and by the end, it's only 4, and 2 of them aren't even loyal. Like, while all the Jimmys are asleep, Spike tries to run away, and that's when the Jimmy catches him, one of the background ones, and he's like, "Hey, you know that Jimmy you killed a week ago? That guy was my mate, my best friend, and now I'm gonna kill you." And this is when he shoves a knife across Spike's mouth and gives him like a Glasgow a grin thing. But then Jimmy Ink comes out of nowhere, and she kills him for Spike. And she's like, "Listen, Spike, there's nowhere you can really go. There is nothing out there. So let's go back to Crystal, and I'll tell him a lie, and it'll all be okay." So they do that and it works out, but obviously it doesn't because yeah, I just explained the whole ending to you. But yeah, that's 28 years later, the Bone Temple, and I know some folks were preying on this movie's downfall because it was directed by a black woman, and I'm like, wow, that's racist. Anyway, this is a banger movie. Like, yeah, it was directed by a black woman, but the script was solid, and I love when there's music and the music works well with what's going on in the scene. Like, I love a musical, even when it's not really a musical. But yeah, the the scene with a Kelson and the fire and the dancing, that was just like, it was so cool because he was really just putting on a show for the Jimmys, and he was doing a great job. And I'm like, how old is this man? Like 60? Like you can tell that Ray Fiennes is just having a good ass time, you know. Also, there's a nudity in the film. Like, there's a scene where a Dr. Kelson is getting ready for bed and he takes off his clothes and we see some old man dick. It's a very small scene, not that important. Just shows how old and frail he is, and yet he still keeps going with life, even when life has very little to offer him. But yeah, like, that was a great movie. I want to see it again for the mosh pit Iron Maiden scene alone. But also, I need to count the Jimmys again because I'm still not sure. Are there six or seven? Six, seven, six, seven. But yeah, like Jack O'Connell was amazing. Then there's Spike, Jimmy Ink, the girl, the other girl, and then the two guys. So yeah, because there's seven. Oh, duh! Spike kills and replaces that guy. So I counted him twice. So there were eight of them, but then Spike killed. So yeah, there really are just seven. There's Spike, Aaron Killerman, the two I don't know the name of, but Jemima, Crystal, and the one that Ink kills. So yeah, if you stayed and listened to me stutter like a fool this whole time, thank you for listening. As you can tell, I was really excited to talk about this movie, and I hope you can understand me past all my stuttering. Yeah. Anyway, go see the movie. It's so good. It's so good.